All right, so we're going to cover Unit 10, Day 4, which is solved by factoring. Make sure you know how to use the zero product property to solve an equation in factored form. That's one of our goals. Second goal, know how to solve a polynomial equation by factoring. Make sure when you're factoring, you're doing the greatest common factor first, then the AC method. Zero product says that if A times B equals 0, then A equals 0 or B equals 0. Let's look at a couple examples here. So this is considered my A, the 3x plus 2, and my B is x minus 1. So what I do is just put 3x plus 2 equal to 0, or x minus 1 equals 0. Solve both of them for x, so subtract 2. So we get 3x equals negative 2. Divide by 3, x equals negative 2/3. What that means is if I put in negative 2/3 back into the original equation, I get a 0. So let's see. 3/2 times negative 2/3 would give me negative 2 plus 2 is 0. And 0 times anything is still 0. So that's one answer that works. The next one's easier. Add 1 to both sides. So we get x equals 1. So the solutions are x equals negative 2/3 or x equals 1. The next one, I'm going to set each term to 0. So x plus 3 equals 0 or x plus 8 equals 0. Realize I have x plus 2 squared, or x plus 3 quantity squared, which means I'd write out x plus 3 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0. We don't need to do that. We only need to write it once. And then solve each of these. So I subtract 3 on this one. So x equals negative 3 is one solution, or subtract 8 on both sides. X equals negative 8. The last one here has 3 terms. I'm going to change to a little bit bigger marker. Now I can say 5y equals 0, or 7y minus 3 equals 0, or y plus 11 equals 0. So the first one I divide by 5. So one solution is y equals 0. Next one, add 3 to both sides. So 7y equals 3. Divide by 7. So y is 3 over 7. Or subtract 11 here. Y equals negative 11. So 3 solutions on that one. Make sure you always, whenever you're factoring, do the greatest common factor first, if need be. Difference of squares, look at that first. Next, look at a perfect square trinomial. MARF, multiply AC, add A, then multiply then find the term that multiplies to A times C and adds to get B, rewrite it, factor by grouping, and then factor by grouping if it's already in that form. Solve by factoring. Step 1, set the equation to 0. Move all the terms to one side. Factor the polynomial. Remember the factoring hand. Set each factor equal to 0, and then solve each parenthesis. First problem. Looking at this one on the factoring hand, so make sure you factor. They all have a 3. Both terms have a 3x. So I'm going to factor out a 3x, which leaves me with x plus 4 in the parentheses equals 0. Remember, I'm dividing both terms by 3x. So 3x squared divided by 3x is just x. 12x divided by 3x is a 4. Then set each term to 0. So you write 3x equals 0, or x plus 4 equals 0. So x equals 0 in the first, or subtract 4 here. X equals negative 4. Looking at the next one, it has a greatest common factor. Both of those divide by 9, and both of them have a y. So factor out a 9y. When I factor a 9y out of the first term, I'm left with 2y. Factor a 9y out of a negative 9y, you have minus 1 equals 0. So what I'm doing is dividing. Or I want to look at this. If I multiply this back out, I would get an 18y squared minus a 9y. And then set each to 0. So you're at 9y equals 0, or 2y minus 1 equals 0. So divide by 9. One solution is y equals 0. Next one, add 1 to both sides. So 2y equals 1. Divide by 2. So y equals a half. You can do a check on this one. Let's go back to that original problem. So if I check this problem, 0 makes sense because 18 times 0 squared minus 9 times 0 will still give me 0. That one works. Check with a half. So 18 times 1 half squared minus 9 times 1 half. Does that equal 0? Use your calculator. So take 18 times 1 half quantity squared. So 18 times 1 half squared. And then subtract 9 times a half. And you get 0. Checks. So you can check these if you want. All right, solve by factoring. This one, mini-marf, meaning leading coefficient of 1. So these, when you factor these, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 36 and add to 13. So I know that's going to be an x plus 9 and an x plus 4. And then set each of those parentheses to 0. So x plus 9 equals 0. Or x plus 4 equals 0. So subtract 9 on both sides. So x equals negative 9. Subtract 4 on both sides, which means x equals negative 4. Let's check these. So negative 9 in parentheses squared plus 13 times negative 9 plus 36, does that equal 0? Let's see. So put that in parentheses, negative 9 squared plus 13 times negative 9 plus 36 equals 0. Yes. And put in negative 4. So negative 4 squared plus 13 times negative 4 plus 36. Does that equal 0? So parentheses negative 4 squared plus 13 parentheses negative 4 plus 36 equals 0. All right, this one factors. So that factors, I need to multiply to negative 6. Two numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add to negative 5. So that's negative 6, positive 1. So x minus 6 equals 0, or x plus 1 equals 0. So one solution is x equals 6. Here, subtract 1 on both sides, so x equals negative 1. Solve each equation by factoring. I have to set it equal to 0 first. Big rule. So here I get a 4x squared minus a 6x equals 0. So I'm going to move that 6x over here so it becomes minus 6x. Both of these can factor out a 2x. Factor out a 2x here, so you're left with, divide that by 2, you get 2 and an x. So take 6 divided by 2, or negative 6 divided by 2 gives me negative 3, and you put equals 0. Solve this, you get 2x equals 0, or 2x minus 3 equals 0. So one solution, divide by 2, x equals 0, or add 3 here, 2x equals 3, divide by 2, x equals 3 over 2. Next one, move the 21 over because I have to set it equal to 0 first. So I have n squared minus 10n plus a 21 equals 0. So this is a nice one, easier one to factor. So do your two parentheses. I need two numbers that multiply here and add to negative 10. So n minus 3, n minus 7. Set each to 0. So n minus 3 equals 0, n minus 7 equals 0. Add 3 here. So n equals 3. Add 7 here. N equals 7. So it's a this or this. Those are my answers. Next one, the area of a triangle is 12 square feet. Find the dimensions. All right, so you have to know the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height. So let's write that out. So we know the base is x, so my area is 12 equals 1/2 my base, which is x minus 3, times my height, x plus 7. I don't like that half there, so what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by 2/1 first. So I get 24 on this side equals, that's gone, x minus 3 times x plus 7. We need to multiply this out on the right side. So 24 equals, and I'm going to use the box method. So this is x, -3, x, and 7. So x times x gives me x squared, -3x, positive 7x, -21. So I can see that gives me x squared plus 4x minus 21. Subtract 24 on both sides, set it equal to 0. So I get 0 equals x squared plus 4x, what's that add up, -45. So we need to factor that. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to -45 and add to 4. So x plus 9, x minus 5. Those multiply to -45 and add to 4. Then set each to 0. So x plus 9 equals 0, or x minus 5 equals 0. Subtract 9, x equals -9. Add here, so you get x equals 5. Then you look at them and see which one makes sense. Can I put in a -9 for x? So -9 plus 7 gives me a -2. That one won't work. So x equals 5 is my x. But then I need to plug that back in. So 5 plus 7 gives me 12 for this side. And 5 minus 3 gives me 2. So my dimensions are 12 feet by 2 feet. And then here's your assignment.